Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our training. Very good to have you here as well. So we'll be continuing from where we left off the last time, and this time we're going to be looking at how we would basically build our first robots together. So this particular session is about we building our first robot together. Okay, so it's going to be interesting. Remember, if you have questions, leave your questions down below. Okay, so here's what we'll be basically talking about in our session for today. So we'll look at some best practices. Now, I'm going to be taking this course from my perspective in terms of what I go through and what I feel is basically the best approach. Now, we would be obviously starting off with a simple but the concept, the idea behind how we go about it, you can take this and implement it in even more complex EAs, okay? So we'll look at basically the three things that we pay attention to with regards to bots. We want to get information. We want to basically get a clear statement around them, and which are the execution logic, the entry criteria, and the exit criteria. And then I'll show you something that I tend to do, especially when I'm looking to build more advanced bots, by using a flowchart, at least drafting a flowchart, even if it's just on paper, to explain the flow of the logic. Okay, so it's going to make a lot of sense as we progress. Okay, so now when it comes to developing a bot or an EA, defining the trade logic is extremely important if you want to get the desired results. So when you hear the term trade logic, think about the strategy, right? So I don't care whether you're a manual trader or whether you use, your building bots, or if you trade technicals or you trade fundamentals. The only way you're going to be successful in this business is if you have a predefined strategy that you follow, judiciously when the parameters are met. So the same idea applies here. Anybody can build a bot. Whether it's going to be profitable or not is anybody's guess. However, just the same way most traders don't make money in the forex market, most traders don't even have a strategy or a system that they trade. So this is not just only applicable to the trading, but it's also very applicable to your own personal trading style. You want to have a system, a strategy, a logic, right? So the logic behind the trade, such as if this happens or this and this happens, I would look to buy. Right? Otherwise, if this happens or this and this happens, I'll look to sell. So that's criteria that you look for. It's the logic behind the trade entry. And then you're now going to define the entry criteria, the exit criteria, and all of those things, okay? Now, the goal, right? The goal should be to break down the goal should be to break down the reasons for your strategy in three key questions. So you want to answer these three key questions. This would basically enable you to simplify your trading idea so that even a layman can understand it. So the first point should be, what will trigger a buying or selling action, right? So you ask yourself, you don't just open the chart and place a buy or open the chart and place a sell. You open the chart, you analyze, and then if you see certain conditions met, then you buy. So in the same way, you ask yourself, what conditions do I want to see, or do I want my bot to look out for to open a buy, or what do I want to see to open a sell? Then the second question would be, how do I enter the trade based on my system? Now, let's say you are a price action trader, and let's say you trade pin bars or engulfing candlesticks formations. Now, if you see a bullish pin bar, now let's say based on your system, you see a bullish pin bar and that triggers your buying action. How do you enter the trade? Do you enter the trade when the bullish pin bar is still forming, or do you enter the trade after the bullish pin bar has formed? This is how you enter the trade. So some people might be, okay, at the close of that candle, I'll enter a buy. Some other people might be, at the close of the candle, I'll enter a buy at the 50% retracement of the pin bar or the engulfing bar. That is the point two, how you enter the trade. And then the third point will be, how do you exit the trade? Okay, so we'll discuss each and every one of these, beginning with the trade execution logic. Now, you want to define clearly what conditions should be met before your bot looks to buy or sell. Now, this can be a single condition or multiple conditions that all have to be true before a trade is executed, right? Now, for example, imagine that we're looking to, so the bot will actually be looking to first of all build is going to be a very simple bot that takes advantage or takes into consideration the moving average. So we're going to be looking at the bot or trying to build a bot that just basically takes advantage or looks at the crossover of moving average. Very simple strategy, but can actually be quite powerful. So the whole idea is, well, in a bullish market, well, price tends to go up like so. And if we place moving averages, they would most likely be below price. So in a bullish market, you would have those, you have the moving average below price. Now, the market doesn't stay at a single condition. So basically, we're looking to take advantage of the crossover areas, right? However, the market, when it becomes bearish, would also look to change shape. So let's say the market now becomes quite bearish like this. What will happen is, so let me, the moving averages would do something like this, right? Where this one would now cross over the other one. You know, should use yellow as well there. Okay, so basically, this moving average crossover system is all about taking advantage or looking for buys or sells at the area where this crossover happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a bot, right? And we're going to build a bot that basically takes into consideration the crossover of the moving average on that specific time frame and then execute trades based on them. So as you can see, we have what we've just done now is we've defined the logic for our trade. So what we look for to buy or what we look for to sell. So in this, okay, sorry about that. So let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay, so basically we'll be using the moving averages, the crossover of the moving average as decision makers as to our buying or selling idea. Okay, so we're going to be using the 10 and the 20 exponential moving average. So when the 10 exponential moving average crosses above the 20, we'll look to buy. And when the 20 moving average or the 10 moving average cross below the 20, we look to sell. That is our trade execution logic. Now, the next point will be, so how do we enter the trade, right? Now, entry criteria. This defines exactly how you enter the trade once all the predefined conditions are met. Now, just because we're using moving average, you can use a combination of, you can say, oh, if the moving average crossover, if the RSI has gotten to this point, if the stochastic has gotten to this point, executes a trade, right? So in the same way, once those conditions have been met, you now need to define how do you enter the trade. Do you enter while the moving average is crossing over, or you want to wait for a candle to close, right? So this is how you define your entry criteria. Now, this also includes when the trade is to be open and the lot size to be used, right? So all of those are part of the entry criteria, okay? Now, the exit criteria would now include how you exit trades in eventuality of profit or eventuality of loss. So this defines how the robot would exit the current open positions, right? So it includes the take profit level and the stop loss level. If you're using a fixed stop loss or dynamic stop loss, we'll all look at that in our example of our robot building, okay? So basically what we've just done now is simplify the whole idea behind our trade. And with this concept now, even a layman can understand what we are trying to accomplish just with this concept. Now we'll now say, okay, remember I said I was going to show you something that can be quite helpful for you, which is in using flowcharts. Now, what we'll do is we will take basically what we've just discussed with regards to our building of the EA and then break it down into a flowchart that we can then use or basically help us illustrate or describe what steps need to be done and what needs to happen before a step is taken. Okay, so if possible, this is entirely up to you. This would also, using a flowchart would make it easier for you when you're looking to build bot. Now, for the example of the bot we just we're looking to build, which is the moving average crossover bot. Let's look at an example of a potential or a flowchart, what it will look like. Okay, so as you can see here on my screen, we have this. Let me just move this over here. Okay, so we have this flowchart describing basically the criteria or the conditions that needs to be met. Right. So the first point to be, because when you attach a bot to your chart, you don't want to, you want the bot to be able to be aware, right, of other trades placed by. So let's say you've attached the bot to the chart. You don't want the bot to just be taking trade every single time. You want it to also take note of whether it has opened a previous trade, okay? And that's why we look at the first point here, which is check if there's an open trade on the chart. So if there's an open trade on the chart, right? At this point, we will then, there are two answers to this question. So it's either the answer is yes, there's an open trade on the chart, or the answer is no, there's no open trade on the chart. Now, if there's an open trade on the chart, what we want the bot to do is to check if the exit conditions are met. Okay. Now, if the answer is no, what we want the bot to do is to check if the condition for opening a trade is met. Now, based on what we are building, we said we're going to be using 10 EMA and the 20 EMA, right? So what we want the bot to do is check two things. The first one is check if the 10 exponential moving average has crossed above the 20 exponential moving average. So we'll use this sign, X, that's crossing greater than, that's crossing above, right? And then X less than as crossing below. So what this means here is that we're checking if the 10 exponential moving average has crossed above the 20. Now, if the answer is yes, right, it will look to do what? Open a buy trade and then impute the stop loss and the take profits, right? So in our first example, we're going to build a bot that uses a fixed stop loss and a fixed take profits, okay? Now, otherwise, if the answer is no, it will check if the 10 exponential moving average has crossed below the 20 exponential moving average. And then if the answer is yes, it will open a sell, impute the stop loss, and the take profits. So this way, what we've just done is essentially we have built this flowchart explains the logic behind our trade, how trades, what is required for a trade to be executed, how the trade will be executed, and what stop loss and take profits, or how it would be imputed. Okay, so this now, when we're building the bots, we can obviously reference this, and it will make it quite easier. So for instance, let's say you check the moving average, and then you check the RSI, right? And then you check stochastic, and then if everything aligns, then you buy. You have your bot loop through all of those processes before a trade is taken. So this is basically kind of the importance of looking for or having a flowchart description to enable you, make it easier for you to build your bots. Now, in this particular video, we're just basically going to be running through building our first bot. We'll actually build our first bot, and we'll build a bot that does exactly this, what is labeled here on the screen. Although we would not, we'll test it in the next video. So we'll build it. I'll show you how it's done. Then I'll show you how we can test it, how we can back test using the option available for you on your MT4 or your MT5. And then in the next video, we'll also see how we can basically optimize this a little bit. Okay, so we're going to build a bot that will be using the let me just go back here. So we'll be using the taking advantage of the crossover of the moving average, using a fixed stop loss of, let's say, 50 pips and a fixed take profit of 100 pips, so 2-to-1. Okay, and then in the next one, we'll build the same bot, but this time, instead of exiting with fixed stop loss and take profit, we're going to use it kind of like a dynamic stop loss and take profit. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll just jump over to the FXDreema area. We'll first of all look at what the system is supposed to look like. So you can see this is the moving average, this is the 20 and the 10 exponential moving average. And then basically what we are looking to do is execute trades at the crossover of those areas. So this would be a sell, this would be a buy, this would be a sell. Okay, so basically this would be a buy down here. So we're going to be looking to execute trades at the crossover of the moving averages. Okay, so what we'll do now is we would go over to, where's my mouse? To our FXDreema workspace here. What we're going to do is we're going to just delete everything here. So let's delete this. Okay, and let's delete all of this. And let's build this from fresh. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so remember, like we said, we've named our FX project. Okay. Now there's something there's something I would also want us to do. So let me just delete everything here so we can all do it together. Okay. Let's take this away. Okay. Now, yeah. So now if we jump back to our actual flowchart or what we are trying to accomplish, you'd see that there are a number of things that we need. So basically, we'll be needing the exponential moving average. We'll also be needing our stop loss and take profit parameters, and also our lot size, basically what lot size. So what we can do, for those of you who are familiar with programming, you understand the whole idea of declaring variables. So we're going to declare our variables before, so that we can call on them later, right? Now, but don't worry, we're not programming or anything. It's just a simple concept. Now, so what we'll do is, one of the things I tend to do is, okay, let's see. I think this is going to be easier when I show you, and then we'll come back and optimize it. So let's just basically build our bot. So the first thing we want to do based on our flowchart is to do what, right? We want to check if there's an open trade. You please go away. Also want to check if there's an open trade. That's what it's asking us to do, check if there's an open trade. Now on the FXDreema, if you go over to this check trade order count, right, you'll see no trades. So if we drag this is just, basically this just refers to if there are no trades. Now remember, you want to be on tick, not on any of these other ones. You want to be on tick. That means you want your bot to be checking every single price tick, right? Now, if there are no trades, so we can double click on this to modify it, remember? So if we double click on it, we can change it to if we're looking for only buys or sells, but we want it to be both buy and sell. So if there are no buy or sell trades, that's what this means, right? What do we want to do? We go back to our chart. If there are no buy or sell trades, we want to check what the indicators, the 10 and the 20 exponential moving average. So we come back here. Now, if you come to this condition, basically this condition tab here, right? If you come to this condition tab here, we can just drag one of these conditions, right? So it's just, you can see it's just a simple drag and drop. So we drag one of the conditions, one of the buy conditions, one of the conditions here, and we can modify this condition. So we modify conditions to meet the criteria of what we're looking for. So what is the condition for buy, right? We're saying if the 10 exponential moving average crosses above the 20 exponential moving average, that is when we look for buy. So we're going to need to impute the condition. Okay, so just like I mentioned, we are looking at, let me just pull this back up again. Okay, so we're checking the conditions, the buy and the sell conditions. For the buy condition, we're looking to this exponential moving average. If the 10 exponential moving average crosses above the 20, then we look to buy. Otherwise, we check the condition for the sell, which is if the 10 exponential moving average crosses below the 20, then we look to sell. So how do we do that on our FXDreema? How do we get our bot to look for those things? So we go back here, we'll put in a condition variable here. So what we want to do is, so what we'll do is just, I can just edit this. Now this is just for cosmetics. If you're building quite a complex project, you'd have lots of parameters. And it's always nice to name them so you can always know what you were trying to do there. Okay, so we'll just name this buy condition. That means okay, so this just keeps happening. Okay, so like I was saying, we named this buy condition. This is just so that we can know what we were trying to do here. However, the actual condition would be what we modify inside of it. So if you double click on it, right, you can see, so you can see it's kind of like a comparison. The condition is like, if this side is less than this side, or if this side is equal to this side, is however you put it. So what are we trying to do? If you go back here, we're looking to check the 10 exponential moving average and the 20 exponential moving average, okay? And see if the 10 exponential moving average has crossed above 20. Now, you can see there are a lot of things we can do here, indicator, candle, lots of things, but we're looking for the moving average, and the moving average is an indicator. So you can see we select indicator, we select moving average. You can see there are a lot of other indicators here. We'll work with some of them in the future, okay? So we want to see if the 10, so we just named this 10, exponential moving average, so we'll change simple exponential moving average, the method, to exponential. We want to check if it has crossed over, has crossed above what? The 20 exponential moving average. So what we just did here is we just impute, we're saying if, right, the 10 exponential moving average crossed above the 20 exponential moving average. Now, there's another important thing you want to do under more conditions with regards to candle ID. Okay, so you want to make the candle ID 1, okay? Yeah, so you want to make the candle ID 1. And the reason for that is, so let me come over to our chart here. Now, the way the MT4 or the MT5, the way it sees or reads the candle is such like this. The current candle has an ID of 0, right? The previous candle has an ID of 1. And like so, this one will be 2, this will be 3, and 4, and so on. So that means as we're going back here, as you know, as we go behind, where the ID of the candle is increasing. Now, we want to check that the crossover has happened at the close of the candle. So what we want to do is, when a new candle starts, we want to check if the crossover has happened. So for instance, let's see where, so a crossover happened here, right? Now, when this crossover would have actually happened, would have been where at the close of this candle, which is at the start of this candle here, right? So what that means is, at the time, this candle will have an ID of 0, and this one will have an ID of 1. So if the EA check and see that this has happened, it will see that at the close of at the beginning of this candle, and then it will open a sell. So that's what we're looking to do. Okay, so let's go back to our FXDreema, and that is why we have our candle ID set to 1. So we'll have this also set to candle ID 1, and then we'll click on updates, right? So basically, what we've done is, so let this update. So what we've done basically is we're saying, or we've said, okay, if the 10 exponential moving average cross above the 20 exponential moving average, if this condition is met, then what do we want to do? We want to buy. So we just drag our buy now variable here, right? So if this condition is met, we'll buy. And we do the same thing for the sell. But there's something that we're also going to do here is this. So instead of having, so under our condition, so instead of putting 10 here and 20 here, what we're going to do is we're going to declare them, declare these variables before, how do I put this now? In a super class. So essentially, under here that says constants and input. So if you click on this, it says declare constants or variables. Okay, so we want to declare constants. Now, there are different data types. So double, so just a quick one. Double is a data type for numbers that have decimal place. Okay. Integers it's a data type for whole numbers, right? Strings is a data type for text. Boolean is a data type for true or false. So you get the idea. So we're going to declare integer. So this is going to be int, and it's going to be the exponential moving average. So we're going to call the 10 exponential moving average EMA fast. That's exponential moving average that is fast, right? So let's call this EMA underscore fast. And we're going to give it a value of 10, right? And then we're also going to make another variable, also integer. This would be EMA slow, right? And we're going to give it a value of 20. And then we're also going to have our lot. So our lot size is also going to be a double. So our lot size is going to be double because a double is decimal place number. So lot size can be 0.01 or 1 or 1.4. So we're going to make it a double. And we'll call this lots, right? And we're going to use a lot size of 0.1, right? And then what again do we need? Stop loss and take profit. So let's declare our stop loss and take profit value. So it's going to be integer. We'll call it SL. And let's make our stop loss 50 and also make another one. This would also be integer. And let's call it TP. And we're going to make it 100. And then we'll click on update. So what we've just done is we've just declared these variables, right? Or these constants. We've just declared them so that we can reference them during throughout the life of the FX of this particular work project. So by saving it or by declaring it like this, we can always reference it within our project. Okay, so once that is done, yeah. So once that is done, what will happen is if you check here, if we go back here now and click on our buy condition, so instead of using the simple, okay, so what we're going to do now is we would reference, so instead of using MA period 10, we'll just use EMA period. So we'll right click. So what I'm doing is just right click on that place there and select fast. So you can see it still has the same value of 10. But what this does for us is by doing it this way, when we are running our bot or we are back testing it, we can actually change this value. So let's say we test moving average 10 and 20, and we don't really like the result. We we want to maybe change it to 20 and 50 or 50 and 100. We can just obviously just switch the value without having to come back here to the FXDreema to recreate it again. So from the bot itself, under the input tab, we can change these values. Okay, so we'll just select MA10, right? And then here we'll also select MA slow, which is the 20, okay? And then we'll click on updates, right? Now, basically, what we've just done now is we are saying if there are no trades, right? So if no trades, look for buy conditions. So from this orange one, we drag it to the top of it. We look for the buy conditions. That's if the exponential moving average 10, the 10 exponential moving average has crossed above the 20 exponential moving average, we want to buy. So if you double click on this, we'll now adjust the parameter for the buy. So what lot size do we want it to execute? Remember our entry criteria. So it's 0.1 we want, but we'll select it here. So we can also obviously change it. Our stop loss, we're going to use a fixed pip for this one. So we'll just right click and make our stop loss 50. Our take profits, we're going to also make it 100. So, so instead of typing it here, we can use this so that we can obviously adjust them while our code is on. So we'll click on updates. So what we've just done now is we've done the buy condition. So if there are no trades, it will check. If there are no trades, it will check, and then if the buy conditions are met, it would open a buy. Now we also need to do the same thing for the sell side. So we go to condition, we select another condition variable here. We'll double click. Let's just rename it sell condition. So sell condition, right? So we'll double click on it to modify it. So what's the sell condition? So if we go back here, you'd see that our sell condition is if the 10 exponential moving average cross below the 20 exponential moving average. Now, just as a point of note, this statement, you can say it in two ways. You can say, so if 10 exponential moving average cross above the 20, it's the same thing as saying if the 20 cross below the 10. So either way is right. It's just how you choose to write it. So even if you write if the 20 cross below the 10, that's still the same as the buy condition. Or here you say if the 20 cross above the 10, right? It's just the statement itself should be correct, right? So for the sell condition, we are going to check if the 10 exponential moving average cross above the 20. So let's go back and do that here, okay? So what are we looking for here? So the 10 exponential moving average, instead of writing 10 here, we'll select our EMA fast. Make sure it's the exponential moving average. Remember, we want to set candle ID to 1, right? And then here we're going to also make this EMA fast or slow. Make sure it's the exponential and also select candle ID to what? To 1 as well. And then we click on update. Okay. So what we've just done now is we've set the condition for sell, right? So you can just drag from the same orange, not the yellow, the same orange to the top of this. And then if this condition is met, what do we want to do? We want to sell now. So we would select this like so. And then we would modify the sell to impute our stop loss, our take profits, and our lot size. Okay. So basically what we've done is, well, if there are no trades, right, look at this buy condition. If the buy condition is met, open a buy. Otherwise, look at the sell condition. And if the sell condition is met, open a sell, right? So let's do that. We drag this like so, double click here to modify the values to what we want. And you can see once we have the sell conditions, so this is the sell condition. Once we have the sell parameters put in place, that's our first spot. So essentially we've basically built our first spot. So we'll set this to lots, our stop loss. You can see it says stop loss mode. So we'll select our SL, take profit mode, we'll select our TP, and we'll click on update. So this, my friends, is our first bot together. Now, this simple code here that we just did here is the bot that enables us to take advantage of moving average crossover. This very simple thing here. Right, don't worry, we'll look to build even more bots. At least I'll give you some clues as to how we can build more bots, and then you can use the same idea to build your own bots for your own systems, because you have all the valuable information you need. So that's about it for this particular session. In the next class, we would take these bots that we've just built, and then we would backtest it on the MT4, right? And we'll see what the result looks like, and then would we're using a fixed stop loss and a fixed take profit. I'll show you how we can use a dynamic stop loss and a dynamic take profit instead of this fixed one for this specific strategy, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so thank you. Sorry for all these stop stats, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great one.